What's up, everyone? It's your girl Shay here with my channel. If you're new, welcome back to my channel. If you've been here before, as you can see by the title of today's video, I'm talking about anime tourists and the anime men. I decided to do this video because of actually watching the anime men's video where they ranked the first episode of the most popular anime from the years 1960 through 2025. I had never heard of the anime men before, and I had only came across this whole controversy, I guess you could say, about their video after it popped up on my recommended feed on YouTube. And so I ended up watching numerous videos talking about it, and also watching people reacting to their video, and then of course watch their video for myself. I did take notes. It's on my phone right here, the notes that I took while watching their video, so that I don't miss anything. And then I also learned a new term, which was anime tourists, and I went on the hunt as well to kind of figure out what was the explanation for that particular term. So the first part is I'm breaking this video up into 3 different parts. One is about anime tourists, the second one about their video just as a whole, and the third one basically being about how their video honestly could have worked, because when I first came across it, or they when it was being talked about, I was like, oh, it's actually not a bad thing to do, not even a bad idea, but how they executed it to me was where they went wrong. And so I kind of took a few notes on honestly how the video could have been done better, or not have pissed people off so much, because they definitely pissed me off. So first up, anime tourists. I, again, had never heard of this. This is definitely a more Gen Z sort of a term, or even maybe Gen Alpha, but I'm a millennial, so this was not a term that I had ever heard of. But basically, anime tourists are people who are new to the anime community, but are acting like they know everything, and that anyone else's opinion about older shows or anything else like that is just completely wrong. And I guess they're supposed to be a little bit cringy also. And I watched the TheAnimeMen's video, and he talked about the term, not to be confused with the anime men, but the anime man, Joey, I believe is his first name. He said that anime tourist just seems to be a newer term for weeaboo, and I have to kind of agree with that. That's kind of what it sounds like to me. It sounds like someone who is very much into anime to the point where it's very cringy, and they act like they know everything, and they act like they know everything about Japanese culture, and everyone's had that weeaboo phase when it comes to watching anime. So that's my understanding of it. So yeah, I just feel like it's just a new term for weeaboo, basically, pretty much. And I feel like now, these creators, again, okay, no hate to these creators also, but I feel like these creators, people are feeling with this video, it kind of shows that they're not really huge fans of anime. It sounds like they more so just got into it while it was trendy, and it's not a medium that they actually have respect for or actually really like. Now, getting into their video as a whole, so again, like I said, their video just kind of pissed me off in a lot of ways because of the disrespect they kind of had for older shows Macross, like they had for Astro Boy, like they had for Speed Racer, shows that were very revolutionary for the time that they came out, and kind of helped shape a lot of the shows that we all watch currently. And also just some of the ways that they went about their video. I kind of went through the video twice and kind of found things that I just didn't agree with. So if I look down again, it's just for me following my notes. So one of the first things that I didn't like is that, and a lot of people point this out, you can't say 100 years of anime when you only went through the 1960s through 2025. That's 60 something years. It's not 100, right? And so for a lot of people, they were just that kind of just was incorrect. And also, when I was watching their video, I'm not for sure how long that they chose to film this, but it seems like they rushed to film it. It seems like they were marathoning this, and to me, that can obviously cause you to be very overstimulated or make it feel like it's a job, so you're not enjoying it as much. And then on top of that, their attention span must be really, really bad, because they were on their phones a lot or on their computers a lot instead of actually watching it. And then on top of that, they said they were watching some of the shows in 1.5 or 2 times speed. And I don't know why you would even do that in the first place. I've never watched anime on 1.5 or 2.5 speed. The only time I mess with the speed of something that I'm watching or reading is an audiobook. That's the only time I speed it up a little bit, and that's just because of how the person's talking and make sure I understand it, and things like that. And then on top of that, they just, for the overall like video, they never actually gave an explanation on why they were ranking things the way that they were, or what the rubric was, right? They didn't have a rubric of like, what is an S tier, what is an A tier, B, etc., etc. And they didn't actually go through, while watching all the shows, what made them decide to give something an F tier or a D tier. They kind of just, it felt like they kind of were judging a lot of the older shows based on the animation style, because they were probably used to animation from shows from like 2015 to 2025, instead of like being like, oh, like, this, for this time, for this animation, this was good. Like the animation in Astro Boy in 1960, of course, is not going to look as great as like a 2025 anime, but for the 1960s, it works, and it was very popular, and it was revolutionary. And that's why a lot of people even point out they didn't do research into these older shows on like how they helped shape anime as a whole, which is where the disrespect came from. And actually, it kind of turned into rage bait in a lot of ways. One thing that I also noticed too was that for some of the shows, like Inuyasha, Doraemon also was another one, and also for this anime called Touch, I'm not for sure where they were looking to watch these shows. For Doraemon, they said they couldn't find the first episode, so they only watched a slideshow and then gave it an F tier, which to me, if you're supposed to be watching the first episode of every single show that was popular, then why were you unable, or why didn't you just take this one out if you actually couldn't find the first episode because you didn't fairly judge it? You watched a slideshow and then said it was F tier, but that doesn't make sense because you didn't actually watch the first episode. What you could have done is maybe find episode 2 or 3 and then judged it based off of that, or just took it out entirely and just found a different show that was popular that year and explained why you didn't watch a particular show because you weren't able to find it. Inuyasha, you gave it D tier, but you watched it with Spanish subtitles and then said, I couldn't understand what was happening. No shit, you couldn't understand it. You watched it with Spanish subtitles. It was in Spanish. Or you watched it in Spanish dub. I didn't understand. But I took it upon myself to be like, I know for a fact Inuyasha is on Hulu on streaming. Why were you unable to find a suitable episode 1 that would work, whether it was English subtitled or it was English dub? Why didn't you just do that? Like, it's not that hard. And then with Touch, they couldn't find subtitles at all for it, and they just watched it. But again, either do similar to what you could have done with Doraemon, which was go to a different show that was popular that year that you could have actually found subtitles for, or have just went based off of nuance of what was actually happening in the show, even if you weren't able to understand it. Those are the things that to me kind of like did piss me off, because I was like, where were you looking for these shows, and why did you give up so easily if you weren't able to, you know, find a suitable first episode? Which is kind of why I felt like it was so rushed, because to me, if you were actually doing research into trying to do this, then you would have been able to like take shows out, add different shows in, due to like not being able to find it or not being able to, you know, find a suitable one for you to watch that you could actually judge it fairly. That's why it feels like it was just off the cuff a little bit. Also, to me, what it showed was that they're just really huge fans of just shonen shows or shows that have action, because to me it seemed like any show that was shoujo, they kind of disregarded it. Like, one of the things they said was Toradora, whom they gave a C tier to, was that it seemed like it was just going to follow a very typical shoujo like premise, and there wasn't anything really exciting about it. And then they gave Angel Beats D tier, and they said it was because of the fact that they felt like, again, that they kind of knew the direction it was going to go in. And I was kind of upset because Toradora is a very beloved shoujo anime, and it has a very big like premise and a very good plot to it, and a whole big thing of kind of like not judging people based off of how they look and everything else like that. It has a very big theme around it. And then Angel Beats has a very big theme of dealing with grief and with dealing with, you know, hurt and anger, and them saying that, oh, the character, you know, Angel, you know, I can't remember her name, is a lolly character. And I was just like, so blatant disrespect. And to me, it was just like, you guys just want very instant gratification in a first episode, which was kind of how like I took it, because when they took shows that were popular already, that were shonen shows like Attack on Titan or like Death Note, that do have very exciting first episodes that do draw you in, like that was what they wanted. Because any show that had to do world building or character building, they didn't seem to like. And that was one thing that to me was like a weird flip around that they did, was that they actually say that they understand that some shows get better after the first episode, and that not all shows are going to be bad just based on the first episode, but yet you were judging shows based off of the first episode. And the shows that were more introductory with the first episode, introducing the characters, introducing the world, introducing the plot, you gave C, D, or F tiers to. But the shows that had first episodes that were super exciting and drew you in, you kind of automatically gave them B, A, or S tier. And that was something that I just kind of completely noticed. And also, of course, just some of the cringy stuff that they did, like the fake falling asleep, kind of bringing up certain things like how girls like had a show like Hornomiya where they like kind of liked the male character and making it seem like, oh, like that's unrealistic, like that's not what you're gonna get. And it's like, okay, but you have shows where it has females that are attractive there, and like you didn't say anything about that. Like I don't know, I was very confused. And of course, again, like some people always pointed out, the one thing that made a lot of people angry was the DBZ part where or Dragon Ball part actually, where they said Goku has a tail. Why does he have a tail? And I even saw that and was like, what? Because I was like, I even said this in my short that I did, that I haven't even watched Dragon Ball, but I know why Goku has a tail. And even in Dragon Ball Z, they discuss why Goku had a tail, why it was removed, and they actually show his own son, Gohan, with a tail, and a whole arc of him turning into a monkey and then removing his tail. Like, and that's why I was so confused, because I was just like, what is happening? Like, what? Like, they have all these subscribers. They have 4.5 million subscribers, but yet you don't know that like those pivotal things of these shows that shaped so many of the shows that we now know and love, and things like that. And the one time they could have explained why a show was actually really good and why they liked it was Hunter x Hunter. But the guy that was going to be explaining this was sped up 2 times speed, so you can actually hear his explanation. And to me, that would have been a great way to actually show your knowledge about a show and actually get people to watch it if they haven't seen it before. I still have to also point out the blatant disrespect of Sailor Moon, because they gave Sailor Moon C tier and they said it was the animation was not good, and girls glazed the show so much. And I hate the word glaze now because of watching this video. But there's a reason why girls and a lot of people enjoy Sailor Moon. Like, it had female characters in it that were kicking butt. It had romance in it as well. It didn't have the girls being like damsel in distresses, and it had a real like theme around friendship, and a lot of girls could see themselves in different characters because they all had such different personalities. There's a reason why like Sailor Moon it was and still is a very popular show with a lot of the anime community. Now, getting away from my anger and the pissed offness I had about the show, is about the idea that they had overall. Because honestly, the idea that they had could have worked, but they needed to do some things differently. And to me, one of the main things that they should have done is that not have done all the anime from 1960s to 2025 based off of the fact that they didn't do a lot of research. They probably should have done anime from the 2000s to the 2025 because of the animation style that it seems that they really like. And even to go a little bit deeper, maybe they should have only done shows that were shonen, because that seems to be the genre that they like, because they could have then like showed the like, I guess, the research they have or the love they have for that particular genre. Because most of us have genres of anime or manga or just anything that we're in that we seem to like gravitate towards more or enjoy more. So it wouldn't be fair for us or anybody to judge something based off of a genre that they dislike, because then they know they're not going to judge it fairly because they already don't like it. And it seems like these gentlemen don't really appreciate or like shoujo shows. So to me, they should have just judged shonen shows from 2000 to 2025 instead of all of anime from 1960 to 2025. Also, how they did this was kind of interesting, was because there's 6 of them. They split up into groups of 2 to watch these shows. But to me, what it seemed like is that they should have watched the shows all together, because then to me, they could have all agreed on where a show should be ranked, because some of them didn't watch certain shows. At least that was from what it looked like with how the video was cut. Now, I'm not for sure if they all did watch all these shows, but just at separate times. But to me, they should have all watched it together, because to me, then as a viewer, it would have been like a better understanding to see them discuss how they actually felt about these shows. And then maybe some of the shows could have gotten a higher ranking, because they could have debated on where this show should have actually gone, instead of doing it in like groups of 2. Because again, it made it seem like they didn't all watch the same shows. And I also think that as well, like they actually should have done more research. And that was a theme that I just kept thinking of, is that they should have done more research into the shows that they were watching. They should have done more research. They also should have spent more time on this particular idea or this particular concept, because it's a very interesting concept, and I believe it could be done very well in a way not to piss off everybody. I also think too, what they should have done is should have done more than just the first episode. They should have said the first 2 episodes, to kind of give a show a little bit of time to get better if they didn't like the first episode, since we all know the first episode is very introductory. To usually do the first or second episode, at least watch 2 to 3 episodes in order to get a great feel of where the idea of the show is going in. Because I think then shows like Angel Beats, shows like Toradora, shoujo shows would have been able to do a lot better ranking wise, you know, or even shows like Sailor Moon, where yes, for like the first few episodes of Sailor Moon, it is just Sailor Moon before the other Sailor Scouts join her. And to me, like those types of shows would have done a lot better in rankings. And of course, figure out where you're going to find these shows from, so that you can find shows that actually will work for something like this, so that you don't have things like Doraemon where you can't find the first episode, like things like that. And also have a very much a rubric that the viewer knows of how you're ranking something, so that you're not just ranking it based off of biasness and not off of an actual rubric. Even in school, whenever you have a paper due, usually a teacher, sometimes, not always, I've had where teachers have given a rubric of what they're looking for, what makes something, you know, a 5, 4, 3, 2, or a 1. And I think you should have done that with what makes an anime S, A, B, you know, C, D, or F. You know, that's just me. So overall, this was a very interesting topic. I never thought I would cover a topic like this. I never thought I would watch a video like this. Overall, for the anime men, I don't think they're ever going to watch this video, but I feel like you need to do a little bit better if you decide to do anime commentary or anime videos like this, and do better research, or do research for what you plan to do, as opposed to you just coming out with the video and it coming off as rage baity, because that's kind of what this video kind of came off as. It didn't come off as just like a fun video to watch. And again, I know tier videos are very much based off of someone's own preference, and I think people are okay with that. But with the video overall, it was just the blatant disrespect that happened because of how you kind of disrespected the older shows that kind of made a way for the newer shows that you do enjoy. And yeah, it just kind of, that's how it kind of came off of, you know. But hey, y'all do you. I mean, if you want to continue making videos, I don't think that's going to stop them. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys watched the AnimeMen video, what did you think about it? If you got through this very long video of mine, I'm so sorry, but I just had to rant and ramble for damn near 20 minutes. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of this video. Give it a thumbs up if you haven't already. Subscribe if you haven't already. Actually, I have links below for all my social media accounts. I have an Instagram, a Twitter, which I don't really post on. I have a Blue Sky, I have a Threads, I have a TikTok. I have so many social medias, I feel like. So yeah, follow me on there too if you haven't already. I have a new video out for you guys, hopefully next week. Let me know if there's anything you guys would like me to cover also. And yeah, like I always tell you guys, stay positive, stay nerdy, and today's day and age, stay healthy, and of course, please stay safe. All right, you guys. Bye.